Hello dear friends and welcome back. In our last session, we dove into the ethical issues in microfinance, unpacking the challenges of balancing a social mission with profitability, addressing high interest rates, managing over-indebtedness and the ethical complexity of targeting vulnerable groups. Today, we are zooming in on a topic that lies at the heart of these issues: usury and over-indebtedness. We will explore how high interest rates and aggressive lending practices can sometimes work against the mission of microfinance, leading borrowers into debt traps rather than lifting them out of poverty. Let's jump right in. Throughout history, usury, or the practice of charging excessive high interest rates, has had a long complex journey from ancient civilization to today's intricate financial systems. What was once strictly outlawed or regulated has reappeared in new forms, trapping many borrowers in a cycle of over-indebtedness. But is there a way to prevent this? In this video, we will take a deeper look at the historical context of usury and its evolution, legal frameworks aimed at managing it, and the economic and psychological impacts. We will explore practical solutions to help mitigate these issues, with the goal of supporting the millions affected by them worldwide. Usury charging, excessive high interest rates, and over-indebtedness. When borrowers are overwhelmed by debt, are closely linked issues. When individuals are charged high interest rates, repaying those debts can lead to financial stress, social inclusion, and in severe cases, deeper poverty. To understand the roots of these challenges, let's take a quick journey through the history of usury and how it has shaped modern lending practices. Let's get started. Historical context of usury. In ancient Mesopotamia, the Code of Hammurabi, dating back in 1754 BC, included the first known regulations on lending and interest rates. Early societies recognized the dangers of unregulated lending, which could exploit the poor. In ancient Rome, laws against usury were enacted to protect citizens from predatory lenders. Such legal frameworks were designed to ensure that lending served societal needs rather than the profit motives of the rich. Now let's look through religious perspectives. For centuries, religious teachings have played a significant role in shaping views on usury. In Christianity, the Catholic Church condemned usury, believing that profiting from the misfortune of others was immoral. Islamic finance also strictly prohibited riba or usury. Islamic teachings encourage ethical lending and profit sharing arrangements that emphasize fairness and social welfare over exploitation. Legal frameworks and regulations. Today, legal definitions of usury vary across the globe. In United States, usury laws are state specific, creating a pathway of regulations that can either protect or expose borrowers to predatory lending practices. For example, New York enforces strict usury laws to protect consumers, while Delaware's lax laws have attracted payday lenders, making it a hub for predatory lendings. European Union and developing countries. In the European Union, efforts have been made to protect consumers through regulations and interest rate caps. In contrast, developing countries often lack stringent usury laws, leaving low-income populations vulnerable to predatory practices. While microfinance was intended to empower communities, in some cases, unregulated microfinance institutions charge exorbitant interest rates, pushing families deeper into financial instability. Economic implications of usury. The economic consequences of usury are far-reaching. For individuals, usurious loans can trap them in a cycle of debt, leaving little money for essential living expenses. At the societal level, widespread over-indebtedness reduces consumer spending, limits economic growth and increases unemployment, leading a fragile economy which financial instability is a norm. Now let's look into psychological effects of usury and over-indebtedness. Starting with mental health challenges. Firstly, anxiety and depression. The stress associated with financial insecurity can lead to anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues. Constant worry about debt repayment can result in chronic stress affecting both psychological and emotional well-being. Coping mechanisms. Individuals struggling with over-indebtedness may resort to unhealthy coping mechanisms such as substance abuse or avoiding behaviors. These coping strategies can exacerbate mental health issues and further complicate their financial situations. Now let's throw some light on social isolation, withdrawal from social interactions. Individuals facing over-indebtedness may withdraw from social interactions due to shame or embarrassment. This isolation can lead to a lack of support and resources, further entrenching them in their financial difficulties. Stigmatization. The stigma associated with financial failure can result in feelings of shame and low self-esteem. Individuals may internalize societal judgments, leading to decreased motivation to seek help or explore solutions to their financial problems. Now let's look into behavioral consequences. Impulsive financial decisions. The psychological burden of debt can lead individuals to make irrational financial decisions. They may take one more debt to cover existing obligations or neglect necessary expenses, further entrenching them in a cycle of over-indebtedness. Difficulty in seeking help. The stigma surrounding debt can hinder individuals from seeking help or accessing resources that could assist them in managing their financial challenges. This reluctance can perpetuate their struggles and prevent them from finding effective solutions. Beyond the economic toll, the psychological effects of usury and over-indebtedness are severe. Constant financial stress can lead to anxiety, depression, and even physical health problems. Financial insecurity often drives individuals to unhealthy coping mechanisms such as substance abuse or social isolation. This creates a vicious cycle where shame and fear prevent them from seeking help. Next, strategies to combat usury and over-indebtedness. So, how do you combat these issues? Governments, financial institutions, and communities must collaborate to enforce usury laws, promote financial literacy, and support debt relief programs. Governments can play a key role by enforcing usury laws and creating consumer protection agencies to monitor lending practices. Financial literacy is crucial. By educating individuals in budgeting, credit management, and the risks of borrowing, we can empower people to make informed financial decisions. Next, let's look into enforcement of usury laws. Governments must implement and enforce strict usury laws to protect consumers from predatory lendings. This includes establishing clear definitions of usury, setting interest rate caps, and ensuring accountability among the lenders. Consumer protection agencies. Establishing or strengthening consumer protection agencies can help monitor lending practices and enforce compliance with usury laws. These agencies can serve as a resource for individuals seeking assistance with debt-related issues. Now let's look into supporting debt relief programs. Debt relief programs and financial counseling services are essential tools to help individuals regain control of their finances and break free from the debt cycle. Debt restructuring initiatives. Governments and non-profit organizations can develop initiatives aimed at assisting over-indebted individuals. These may include debt restructuring programs that allow borrowers to renegotiate their loan terms, making repayment more manageable. Financial counseling services. Providing access to financial counseling services can help individuals develop personalized plans to address their debt challenges. Counselors can assist borrowers in creating budgets, understanding their financial options, and developing strategies for debt repayment. Now let's dive through promoting ethical lending practices. Lenders must also take responsibility by adhering to ethical standards, providing clear loan terms, and educating borrowers on the implications of taking out loans. Governments can initiate ethical lending by providing support or tax benefits to institutions that practice responsible lending. Now let's look into responsible lending standards. Financial institutions should adopt responsible lending practices, ensuring transparency in loan terms and the conditions. Educating borrowers about the risks and benefits of borrowing can foster informed decision making and build trust between lenders and consumers. Now let's look into initiatives for ethical lending. Governments can incentivize ethical lending practices by providing support or tax benefits to institutions that adhere to responsible lending standards. Encouraging a culture of ethical lending can help reduce the prevalence of predatory practices. Now let's look into creating community support networks. On the local level, communities can establish support networks to provide guidance, emotional support, and resources to help these struggling with debt. Collaborating with non-profits can expand the reach of these initiatives, providing additional resources and expertise to empower vulnerable populations. Local support initiatives. Local communities can establish support networks for individuals struggling with debt. Let's look into collaboration with non-profit organizations. Collaborating with non-profit organizations focused on financial education and debt relief can amplify the impact of community support initiatives. These partnerships can provide additional resources and expertise to assist vulnerable populations. To summarize, Usury and over-indebtedness have plagued societies for centuries, but the solutions are within the reach. By enforcing responsible lending practices, promoting financial literacy, and supporting debt relief, we can create a fair and equitable financial landscape for all. Addressing these challenges is not just a matter of policy. It's a moral imperative to ensure that all individuals have the opportunity to thrive without the burden of predatory debt. By promoting financial literacy, enforcing responsible lending practices, and supporting individuals facing debt challenges, we can mitigate the harmful effects of usury and over-indebtedness, fostering a healthier economic environment for all. Addressing these issues is not just a matter of policy, it's a moral imperative to ensure that all individuals have the opportunity to thrive without the burden of predatory debt. In an increasingly complex financial world, the need for comprehensive solutions has never been critical. Thank you all for joining us. Stay tuned for our next interesting topic.